Before we get started, as you see on the screen right now, just a little important information to keep in mind that the information we're presenting is for information purposes only. We're not making any investment recommendations or tax or legal advice. So remember that you're accountable for any tax decisions that you make as well as any investing decisions that you make. So just keep that in mind with the information that we present today. So my name is Jason Derbyshire. I'm the Business Development Manager here with TradeLog Software. Today we're going to talk about TradeLog in 15 minutes. A 15-minute demo about TradeLog software, how it works, what it does. All of you that are with us today have signed up in the past for the free trial of TradeLog, and we thank you for your interest in the software. Today we want to show you a little bit about the software if you haven't yet had an opportunity to use the trial, as well as answer any questions. At the end of our presentation, I'm going to stick around for about 45 minutes max and answer any questions that you may have about TradeLog that we don't answer in the presentation. So on the GoToWebinar toolbar, you should have a box there for questions or Q&A. You can submit any questions that you have. If we don't answer them during the demo, then we'll take the time afterwards to try to answer as many questions as we can as well. And also, some of you submitted questions in advance when you registered. We'll try to answer those questions either during the demo or right when we're done. I have some notes here to make sure and answer some of those. So let's get started. First, we're going to talk a little bit about what is TradeLog, how does it work? Well, the premise of TradeLog is pretty simple. It's just what the name says. The purpose is to keep a log of your trades. When we started TradeLog back in 1999, that was actually our first and main purpose, was to create a software program that would allow you to keep a trade history. Now with that trade history, it allows you to do accurate tax reporting and also to analyze your performance. But all of it stems on keeping accurate trade records, and so that's what TradeLog does. Now we're going to talk a little bit about today how the software does it, some of the features. I'll show you how it works. Just to get started, of course, TradeLog is a program that installs on your computer. It's a PC-based program. Now we do have some Mac users who use systems like Parallels or some other systems that emulate Windows and are able to run the software. But it is a PC-based or Windows-based software program. It installs on your computer. All of your data is stored on your computer, which many people like because your data is not floating out on a server, but it's safe and secure on your own computer. If you haven't yet installed TradeLog, you should have received a link when you signed up for the free trial to download the software and install it. If you need that link again, though, you can go back to our website and you can sign up for the free trial, or you can contact our support department. I'll show you later how to do that, and we can get you set up if you do need to install the software. Also, let me show you on our website. Most of you have been to the website. That's how you probably signed up for the free trial. But we have a menu item for support. This is a great resource for even using the free trial for TradeLog, because here we have resources to help you use TradeLog to understand how it works. For example, our online user guide, which is also found in the software, the first part of that is Getting Started. This Getting Started guide has the 8 main steps for using TradeLog. These 8 steps we recommend following not just your first time, but every year when you use TradeLog, especially for tax purposes. We also have comprehensive instructions found in the user guide on all the features in the software. Also from the Support Center, we have tutorial videos. If you click on the tutorial videos link, you'll notice that we have these organized corresponding with the same 8 steps of our Quick Start Guide. So you can check out these videos which will demonstrate all of the 8 steps in the Quick Start Guide as well as a few other different features in the software. So those are resources that we encourage you to check out, whether you want to go through that before you start using the trial version, but we definitely recommend you follow that when using TradeLog. Now let me take you on a little tour of TradeLog. When you first install the software and run it on your computer, you should come to the welcome screen. And here from the welcome screen, again, we have links to our user guide as well as to our online resources. You can also find these links under the Help menu at any time. And of course, we have where you can view recently opened files and create a new file. Now the way TradeLog works is we create a data file for each tax year. So you'll notice when I click on Create a New Data File, I can select the tax year for the file. I give the file a unique name. So I'll just give this file the name trading. And then I can store it in the default location, which is the TradeLog folder, or if I want to store my file somewhere else, I can change that. Once I click OK, I've created a file for my 2012 tax year. Now I can create my accounts. Each data file allows you to have any number of trading accounts that you might have. I can give each account a unique name. Maybe it's the broker name, maybe I put my account number, whatever helps me to identify that unique account. You'll notice we support different account types. Cash basis is the most common account type. This uses a Schedule D for filing capital gains and losses. You also may have an IRA or a non-taxable account. You can choose that option. For those of you who've elected Section 475F for trader status and you're using MarktoMarket Accounting, if you have TradeLog MTM version, which I am running on this demo, then you can also choose to make an account a MarktoMarket account. All of those options are available. Then you can notice under brokers, you can select the broker that corresponds to that account. Here at TradeLog, we support over 40 different online brokers. Each one might import a little bit differently, but all of them are found here under the import filters. I'm going to go back to our website and show you another quick little resource. If you have questions about your broker, again, under the support link on our website, we have a link for broker support. And here we list all of the supported brokers. We list the type of import methods that we have for each broker. We also list some of the other features, which brokers report, for example, time of day, how they report short sales. Now, some of you asked in advance about futures and Forex. Now, although there are more and more brokers who are doing futures and Forex, TradeLog is limited in which brokers we support, especially with Forex. This is because not all brokers provide trade history information that is consistent and that is in a format that TradeLog can use. But if your broker is listed as supported for futures or for Forex, then we certainly can import that data. And we can talk a little bit more later about some of the tax reports that are used for those who are trading futures and Forex. But let me show you in TradeLog. I'm going to cancel out of this new file, and I'm going to open up a demonstration file that I've already set up for the purpose of ease of use. In this file, I have two accounts. I have a Schwab account, which is my trading account, and then I also have an IRA account set up with TD Ameritrade. So I can keep both of these accounts. You notice I can navigate between the two tabs. I can also click on all accounts to see a complete trade history for all of my trading accounts. I can quickly navigate by double-clicking on a specific trade, and I can drill down and see that trade a little bit closer. There's also some navigation buttons on the toolbar that allow me to switch between different views. For example, if I want to look at a particular date range, I can do that. There's even some more in-depth filters that really allow me to drill down deeper into the software. When it comes time to import trade history, each account tab that I set up, I select the broker, and with that then I have an import button. For example, in my IRA account, it's a TD Ameritrade import button. So I click on that, I can choose the method I'm going to import. With most brokers, we definitely support a method called CSV or Excel CSV download, where we actually import a file that you download from your broker. But also for most of the major brokers, we have a method called Broker Connect. And this allows you to simply enter your credentials just like you enter when you're logging in to your broker account. Once you've entered that information, you click OK. TradeLog actually connects with your broker and retrieves the trade history for the specified date range. I'll cancel this for the TD Ameritrade. I can go over to my Schwab account and I'll quickly import from that Schwab account, and you'll notice it pulls in 17 records. I'll save those records, and now I've imported, I actually just finished importing for the 2012 tax year in this account. Now, besides importing the trade history, TradeLog has some other features to help you make some adjustments. For example, in this account I trade options. Now, most brokers do not report an expiration when an option expires. And so when I click on my open button here to view my open trades, here for example is a trade for a call on CVX, and it expired in August, but it's still showing as open even though it expired August 2012. So by clicking on the Expire Options button, I can expire that option and TradeLog creates the closing entry, and now you'll notice that's no longer on my list of open positions. Another great feature for those who trade options is when you have an option that has been exercised and you have some sort of stock assignment. TradeLog is one of the few software programs that has an automated function for making necessary adjustments for exercised and assigned options. If I go to the Edit menu, I can choose the Exercise Assign function. TradeLog pulls up and looks for any options that appear to be exercised. Here's my CVX option. When I click on that, you'll notice that I had stock assigned. In this case, it was sold because I had shorted a call. So all I have to do is click on my Exercise button. TradeLog makes the necessary adjustments to close out that option, but then to adjust the proceeds of the sale accordingly based on IRS instructions. Once I hit close, it prompts me to save the records. So there's lots of functions within TradeLog that allow you to make adjustments that your broker may not necessarily adjust in their trade history. Under the Edit menu, you can see that there's other functions for adjusting for stock splits, for example. I can also assign strategies if I want to use that to drill down on my data. There's even some more advanced functions that are needed sometimes if your broker is reporting something that's out of order, the trade history needs some adjustment. But let's take a few minutes to talk about reports. Under the Reports menu, I can see some of the options available once I have all of my trade history imported. Of course, there's reports for tax analysis and for tax reporting. For example, the wash sale detail report shows what trades have wash sales that are causing losses to be deferred. So in this case, I had $922 in losses on QQQ options. So these were being deferred because I have a position that's open at year end. So even though I lost $922, I'm not able to take that loss during my 2012 tax year. And that's what this report tells me. I can also take a look at an actual tax report, my Form 8949, which is the main report now used with Schedule D filing. When I run the Form 8949, you'll notice it shows it's in draft mode right now. That's because I haven't closed out my tax year. But it generates the report in the IRS format, shows all of the necessary adjustments on the report, and even includes at the end a summary page, here we go, that I can use with totals that will flow over to my Schedule D. So I can simply print this report and use it. There's also options to export this in a format that can be used for TurboTax, TaxAct, and other popular software programs. Another great feature in TradeLog, if you do trade futures, or sometimes even if you trade some securities that qualify to be treated like futures. For example, broad-based index options as well as many ETF options qualify to be handled as Section 1256 contracts, the same as futures. So TradeLog has a functionality to identify these trades and provides reports for those as well. So you'll notice I have Section 1256 or Form 6781 reporting. I can run that, and that's a report that gives me totals that I use when filling out IRS Form 6781. But besides just tax reporting, we also have other reporting features. Under reports, I can go down to trade analysis. I can look at a realized P&L for one account, or I can look across all my accounts. I can look at detailed reports of my trade activity. There's a performance report that measures key metrics that we've developed over the years with input from active traders, things that many traders like to measure. We keep a track of those, and you can run this performance report to see how you're doing. One of my favorite reports, though, is under the chart reports. Within charts, you can run all sorts of types of charts. A basic chart report, you can run it based by day of week, by ticker, by time of day if your broker reports that, as well as several other metrics that you can add to those charts. By running those charts, I can get a better picture of how I'm performing over time, or over certain securities, whatever way I want to measure my trading activity. So these are some great tools that allow you to take that trade history and do more than just report your taxes, but also be able to find what works for you in measuring your performance and seeing if you're truly profitable. Now we also have a mark-to-market version of TradeLog. It's TradeLog MTM. If you do use MarktoMarket Accounting, then you'll need that version of the software. It allows you to run the additional reports that are needed for mark-to-market if you've elected that for specific accounts. So this is a quick overview of the software and some of the key features. Now another thing I want to highlight is if you're using the trial version or if you've purchased TradeLog, anytime if you need help, you can of course go to the help menu. You can go straight to our user guide, which opens up right in the software. You can also go to our online support center, which will take you to our website, to the page I showed you earlier on our support center. But also, if you have a question or a problem using TradeLog, you can simply go to the help menu and choose Send Files to Support. This allows you to send an email directly from the software, and it will include your data file. You could send that to support, and we'll take a look at the problem you're having or the question you have, and we can send back an answer directly to your email. So that's available for you as well. Again, our support center online, we answer many questions about the software. We have our complete user guide, so we encourage you to check that out. So that's a quick 15-minute demonstration, but now many of you have asked questions, so if you're able to stick around, I'll answer some of your questions that you've asked online. Now, one question that was asked, actually this was asked in advance, is what if you're using an accounting service provider, or maybe you don't want to do all the work yourself? Well, let me show you on our website, actually under our support page, you'll notice in the bottom right, we have TradeLog Accounting Services. We've partnered with several companies who are approved to provide TradeLog services. You can get this to any extent. For example, some traders, they don't want to deal with it at all. They'd rather just pay someone to use TradeLog to generate their tax reporting for them, and both of the service providers we partner with, they will do that for you. Or if you want to keep up with your trade history, if you want to use the software, you want to import the data, but then you want help with actually creating the tax reporting, you can do that as well. These service providers provide various levels of service based on what you're comfortable with. If you're not real computer savvy, you don't really care to mess with the software, we understand. You might check out one of these service providers. Those are some options that are available that some of you have asked about. Again, we're not, these are separate companies, so you'd have to contact them directly regarding the options that they have, but we provide those links from our website. I also had a question about strategies and how to use the strategy tools in TradeLog. This is something that we added a couple years ago that allows, again, for more performance analysis reports. If you go under the View menu, you can click on Display Strategies, and it adds a column for all your trade history where you can assign a strategy. Now I can click on a particular trade. For example, I'll click on this trade FTR. I'll select all of these, and I can right click, and in here I can choose the option to assign a strategy. And we've set up, it's about 37, I think, different strategies by default that you can choose from. So you can choose a particular strategy. Here's one I set up. This is just Jason's strategy. So once I do that, it assigns my strategy name. Now I can go into the global option settings in TradeLog, and there you can actually set up more strategies. You can remove strategies. You can customize all of that. What's the value of assigning a strategy? Well, it all ties into our performance reporting. When I go to reports now, excuse me, let me click on all trades, and then I'll go to, for example, I can run a chart report, and I can do this just based on strategy. So I want to view profit and loss based on the strategies I'm using. When I run the chart, you'll notice I've only assigned one strategy, but here it shows my performance based on that one strategy. So that's something that some of our power users will use with TradeLog if they're wanting to see a certain strategy and how it works over time. You can use that function in the software. I have a question about what tax reports we have, and again I'll recap some of this for you because we did go through it quickly. Of course, one of the core tax reports that TradeLog generates is the Form 8949. This is used with IRS Schedule D. Now, we don't actually generate the Schedule D. The reason being that many traders may have other types of income, capital gains that need to be reported on the Schedule D. For example, you might have real estate investments, things like that. But TradeLog generates Form 8949, which reports all of your securities trading that's in TradeLog, and it provides totals, which you can then use to enter into the Schedule D. So that report we generate. We also have a report if you need to file that same information for a state Schedule D. You can do that as well. We have Form 6781 for Section 1256 contracts. Now, if you trade Forex or you trade currencies, that's a little bit different. In fact, many times people don't even keep track of their Forex trades in TradeLog because it's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward as far as how you report that on your taxes. Same even with futures. If your broker, if we don't support futures for your broker, it's somewhat simpler than what's required for Form 8949. So what I encourage you to look at if you're not sure about what tax reports you need to file, if you go on our website at TradeLogSoftware.com, you can click on Trader Taxes, and here we have a wealth of information about trader tax topics. And if you click on filing your taxes, we actually break down different types of securities and how they're reported to the IRS. So for example, if I trade Forex, I can click on that, and it's going to take me down and it's going to explain how most Forex trades are reported to the IRS. And then we give some additional links as well to our partners at Green Trader Tax. They provide some good education about how to report those taxes. So this is a great tool to check out, our Trader Taxes topics, because you can learn all about how to file, as well as any questions you have about wash sales, about mark-to-market accounting, some of the things that we've talked about today. So definitely check out these tax topics. You might bookmark that page. That way you can refer back to it if you have any questions. The other thing I just touched on briefly is mark-to-market accounting. If you are a professional trader, if you've qualified to elect Section 475F, which is trader status with the IRS, then you use mark-to-market accounting. So in this topic online, we talk about what is mark-to-market and how TradeLog works for those who are filing mark-to-market. As I mentioned, you will need an MTM version of TradeLog in order to use that. Now, some might ask about the pricing and the options. I'll go to our purchase page, and here on our purchase page, we have different options for new customers. And let me just kind of walk through this. Here we have the first options are TradeLog. We have an unlimited record version that allows you to do unlimited numbers of records. But we also have limited versions, TradeLog 200, 600, and 1500. Now these are limited to the number of records. Now some people ask, well, is that per tax year? Is that per calendar year? The way the software works is when you purchase a subscription, for example, if you purchase TradeLog today on August 12th, the software subscription goes through August 12th, 2014. So during that 1 year period, you can use software to file any tax years. For example, if you still haven't finished your 2012 taxes, you can use it to finish that up. You can also use it for 2013. You can get everything up to date and keep using it through the year. Basically, the subscription gives you the software as well as all of the support and updates. We do frequently update the software to keep up with any changes that brokers might make, as well as any tax law changes that come up that have to be changed. For example, when 2013 rolls around, the IRS may decide to change some of the reports or some of the formats of their reports, so your subscription includes all the updates for those changes. The last two options on our pricing is the MTM versions. And again, this is if you need mark-to-market accounting. So if you elected Section 475 for trader status, you'll need the MTM versions. Now, another thing that's important that we mention is if you trade futures or any securities that qualify as futures, which include Section 1256 contracts. That would be broad-based index options. It would include many ETF options. If you trade those types of securities, they are treated as mark-to-market, even if you haven't elected for mark-to-market accounting. I know that sounds kind of confusing, but basically the IRS says that at the end of the year, any of those securities that are held open are mark-to-market. And since they're reported on Form 6781, it's not reported on the same as your other stocks and options. So for those, we have the MTM versions that supports anything that needs mark-to-market accounting. Now, if you have other questions about, well, what's included with the subscription, I encourage you to check out our frequently asked questions page, the FAQs. And there we actually have product differences, and we explain the difference between TradeLog, TradeLog MTM, as well as the difference between the different record levels and what's included in a record. Sometimes people ask, well, what's 200 records? Is that round trip? And basically it's every record that your broker reports. So sometimes you might buy 1,000 shares. Your broker may actually execute that in several lots. So if it's 3 different lots, that's considered 3 different records. All right, let's see what other questions we have. I think we've been answering a lot of them. All right, Bruce just asked a question about having a green company do your taxes. Many people do that. They're a great partner with us. You'd have to talk with Green about what they're going to offer. Usually what they'll do is if you need a TradeLog license, if you don't already have one, then they have a link for you to purchase that through, or they may include that in their fees. That's something you'd want to talk to them about on what you're going to proceed. And again, there are different methods. I know that Green Trader Tax, for example, you can have them do everything for you where you don't touch it at all. Or if you want to do some of the work yourself of importing the trades and managing that aspect, you can do part of it and just provide them with the file when you're done. So there's different options they have, and of course different pricing as well. So you can contact them, and they will certainly be willing to tell you what you need to do and what their pricing and options are for that. See some other questions here. Another question about with tax reporting with MarktoMarket. If you have elected Section 475 or trader status, let me go over and open up. I think I have a MarktoMarket account. This particular account has been identified. If I go into the account tab, it's been identified as MTM. So I'll click OK. So now when I go to the reports menu, you'll notice I have MarktoMarket Accounting reports available. So when I click on that, there's 3 I'm getting my terms all mixed up, 3 reports that are used for MarktoMarket Accounting. Now Form 4797 is the form where you actually report your gains and losses from your trading. So TradeLog does not create the actual Form 4797 because, again, there may be other things that are reported on that, but we create the attachment for that, which provides the totals that you need for Form 4797, and then it has all the detailed trade history that's needed to attach with that. 2 other reports that are used. One is the Section 481 adjustment. And this is used the first year you elect MarktoMarket Accounting. Basically, it's an adjustment for change of accounting method. So the IRS wants you to provide the Section 481, and that provides the information to tell them what changed when you went from cash basis or accrual accounting over to MarktoMarket accounting. And this particular file, when I click on this, there is nothing to report because I didn't carry over any positions. The other report that's used for MarktoMarket accounting is the securities marked to market. The IRS wants you to include a report that details any trades that were held open at the end of the previous tax year, or excuse me, end of that tax year that you're in, that are marked to market or marked to fair market value. Again, this particular file, I don't have any securities that were marked to market, so when I click on that, you actually see nothing displayed. That's because in this account, I actually closed everything out the last day. That's very common. Many traders who have elected trader status with the IRS don't hold positions over either at the end of the day or especially at the end of the year. They tend to close everything out. That is very common in MarktoMarket. But if you do carry any positions over, TradeLog will make the fair market value adjustment at the end of the year to market, and then we'll move that trade over to the next tax year. And that comes up to the next question about how things are done at the end of the tax year. In TradeLog, let me switch back over to my normal demonstration account. When it comes to ending the tax year, you've created your file, you've imported all of your trade history for the tax year. when you get to the end of the tax year, we have some steps that go through to essentially close the books on TradeLog. This requires you to do a little verification. We want to make sure that the trade history all looks correct, and then we reconcile with the 1099-B, and then from there we can go ahead and end the tax year, in essence close it out. Now for each account that I have in TradeLog, there's under the account tab I can go to YearEnd Checklist. And so this YearEnd Checklist basically tells me the things that I need to check off at the end of the year. So for example, here in my Schwab account, first thing it asks, did I expire all open options? So I want to make sure if I had option positions that expired, I want to make sure those have been closed out properly. So I check that because I already did. And if I tried checking it and I hadn't done that step, TradeLog actually will prompt me and say, well, it looks like you didn't do that. So then I can click on the button here to do that. Same with any exercised options. I've already done that, so I can check that off. Next, I need to verify my year-end open positions. To do that, I can click on this button to view open positions, and then I can click year-end. This gives me a list of all the positions that are held open as of December 31st. And so one of the steps for verifying your trade history is to check out your December statement from your broker to make sure that the December broker statement shows the same positions open the TradeLog shows. And that way we know things are kosher, everything's matching up. If TradeLog was showing something open and my broker isn't, that could be a red flag, something I might want to look and see, well, why is there a difference? So we ask everyone to verify these open positions to make sure those are correct. Once I've done that, I can check that off. And then the last step before ending the tax year is reconciling my 1099. So, of course, every year you get that dreaded 1099 from your broker. Includes all this information. If you've looked at our website at all, you know that there's lots of problems with the 1099. It's often not very accurate. But what TradeLog does is we do a couple of steps to try to reconcile to make sure your trade history is matching up with your broker. The main thing we look at is total sales, or gross proceeds. So we ask you to enter the total gross proceeds from your 1099. We also ask for some other information, like your cost basis that the broker is reporting, total for short term, total for long term. And then we ask some information about what your broker is reporting, because each broker is a little different. For example, some report ETFs, some do not. Sales adjusted for option premium, some are adjusting, some aren't. So we have you go through those little checks. Once you've done that, you can run the reconciliation report. So you'll notice here TradeLog is comparing the total sales in TradeLog with the total sales my broker reported. And I have a difference of about $88 in this account. Now, that's not too much when you look at a total of $594,000 in sales. So that's not too concerning to me. If there's a large tangible difference, maybe I have a couple $1,000 difference in TradeLog, that might raise a red flag. I might say, well, I wonder why there's a big difference. We give some information at the bottom of this report about what to look at to see if there is a difference and what's causing it, some of the potential causes. So this is a report that we use to reconcile with your 1099. Now that other information that you enter, like cost basis, that's used when we actually run the 8949. When I run that report, it will actually use that cost basis to create any necessary adjustments in the report. What happens is the IRS ideally wants your totals on the 8949 to match with your 1099. The problem is the 1099 doesn't always make all the adjustments that are required for the 8949 reporting. So TradeLog here is making a reconciliation. It's showing the difference between how your broker calculated things and how TradeLog calculated things. And at the end of this report, the last page, we have additional information regarding the 8949. We explain how we come about our adjustments, what that's done. If there's a large adjustment, we make some recommendations on how you might deal with that. If you need to explain it to the IRS, all of that. So those are some of the things we do when it comes to 1099. Now, once all those steps are completed, then we actually have an in-tax year process in TradeLog. And what that does is that closes the books on 2012, and then it rolls over any positions that are carried forward to 2013. It's going to create a 2013 file. It's going to create all the same accounts that I have in my 2012, and it's going to roll over any positions that were held open, as well as any wash sale deferrals or things like that. So that way my 2013 file will have everything I need. All I have to do is click on the import button, and I can continue importing for 2013. Now, I know that might seem like a lot of information that I just told you. Again, if you go to our website under support and you click on the online user guide and then click on getting started, here we have these 8 steps. So you'll notice what I just explained is step 6 in the tax year. So here we take you step by step through ending the tax year, and everything you need to do. We give you links for more information if you have questions. So again, we can't emphasize enough the value of our quick start guide. This guide is going to take you step by step through using TradeLog. Had a couple questions about pricing options. Because we have people joining us from some different sources and some are referred to us, there are some discounts that are available to different individuals. If you are looking for a discount, if you don't yet know about a discount, first thing I recommend doing is checking with your broker, because many brokers we work with have a discount program. Of course, I can't sit and tell you all of them, because some of those brokers, they don't want us to tell other people because they're discounts for their clients. So check with your broker and see if they have a TradeLog discount. If not, keep an eye on your email, because we do send discount offers, especially to trial users from time to time. So if you want to see a price savings or a discount, check your email and you might be getting a discount offer in there as well. But again, check with your broker, because many of the brokers, especially the major brokers, do have discount programs with TradeLog where you get an instant rebate or an instant savings if you purchase through their link or their program that they have. Okay, so I think we're getting most of our questions answered. Again, if you have any questions still, feel free to shoot those over. We got a few more minutes. We'll stick around, see if we have any more questions. One of the questions that's come up about getting started with TradeLog and first steps. Let me go back to our online user guide. I'll go to getting started, and I'll kind of just walk through basically these 8 steps. So the first step is, of course, to create a new file. So if you've never used TradeLog before, if you have the trial version, you can go ahead and create your file using that. This step will explain how to create your file. Or if you have used TradeLog before, you can locate your previous file and pick up from where you left off. Step 2 is entering baseline positions. Now, this is one very important step to using TradeLog, and it's probably one of the most challenging, and we hate it because it's one of the first things you have to start with. But basically, to import your trade history, TradeLog needs a baseline. It needs to know where to start. So say, for example, that you purchased TradeLog today, and maybe you're still working on 2012. So you want to use TradeLog for your 2012 tax year history. Well, TradeLog needs to know at the beginning of 2012, what did you have open? What positions have you been holding on to? Now, for some of you, you may not have any positions open. Well, that's great. You don't have to enter any baseline positions. But if you had securities positions that you purchased maybe in 2011, maybe before that, that were held open as of December 31st, then what you need to do is enter those positions in TradeLog. You need to tell TradeLog, I had so many shares of such and such a stock that I bought on this date. What that allows TradeLog to do then is once it starts importing your trade history, it has something to match with. If you don't put in the baseline, then it's going to import, say for example, a sale of maybe some shares of Apple. Well, if you didn't tell TradeLog you had shares of Apple open before that, then it's going to raise a little error and say, wait a minute, you're selling shares you don't have open. So this is an important step to enter your baseline positions. I'll give you a tip. One of the best things we have, if you go to our tutorials under our support page, under entering baseline positions, one of our new tutorials we recently just finished has updated it's an updated tutorial. It talks about how to locate your baseline positions and how to enter those into TradeLog. It's a great video because we give a sample of how to use a broker account statement to tell what you had open and then how to enter that information. So that's a great tool if you are getting started with TradeLog, if you do have to enter baseline positions. Sometimes people look at that and they go, oh, I don't want to do that. But the great news is, once you enter your baseline positions, from then on, TradeLog is going to keep track of everything for you. So we have some users that have been with us for 12 years or more. We've been in business since '99. We have some users who've been using TradeLog for many, many years. And they entered the baselines the first time, but they never had to do it after that because they simply go through the steps of our Quick Start Guide. And like I said, once you get to step 6, which is in the tax year, TradeLog is going to roll over everything for the next tax year for you. So you're never going to have to enter those baseline positions again as long as you follow those steps. So that's why, again, we really encourage everyone to just follow the 8 steps to using TradeLog, and it makes it so much easier. Robert asked about when changing from a cash basis account, I guess, to a mark-to-market, can you carry forward losses? It's a good question. And one thing we always recommend, if you are going to mark-to-market or trader status with the IRS, it's always good to at least consult with a good tax advisor like Green Trader Tax. They really know a lot about mark-to-market and whether it's the best move for you. There are some pros and cons to it. There are some opportunities to capture some losses. Maybe if you had some really huge losses that you're never going to be able to take under the capital gains rules, then switching over to mark-to-market may allow you to really capture some of those losses. What TradeLog is going to do, if you do make that change from a cash basis accounting to mark-to-market, TradeLog is going to make the necessary adjustments to switch that account over to mark-to-market. And it is going to give you the reporting that you need that shows what losses you had, what you're able to capture. Now, again, sometimes there's limitations on how much you can take. That's where you have to consult with your tax advisor on your particular situation. But TradeLog is going to keep track of that information and provide you those reports. And I think that just answered another question we had from John too about if you do decide to go to professional to trader status in future. It is very simple to use TradeLog and to switch over. Let me pull up my demo again, and I can just show you even. If I go into my Schwab account, for example, I can click Edit. I can choose to change this to mark-to-market accounting. Now it gives me a warning to make sure I know that I had to make the proper election on time in order to do this, and it asks if I want to proceed. I'm going to click no because I don't want to proceed on this, but once I click yes, it's going to then make the necessary adjustments in the file to change this tax year from cash basis to mark-to-market accounting. So it's really just a couple of clicks, and then TradeLog prompts you through the rest. The hardest part of making that switch is, number one, you have to qualify with the IRS, and then make sure you make an election on time. So again, we have some information on our trader tax topics to explain how to do that. So you want to check that out. And we have a question about the demo version. Is it limited? It is a limited trial version. It's limited to 200 records. So you can import up to 200 records. You can view all the reports and stuff in it, but your reports will all show in draft mode. So you can't run final tax reporting with the free trial because obviously it's a free trial. So we want you to purchase. But so there is some limitation in the software, but it should allow you to import, kind of get a feel for some of the features in the software. And if you have the trial version, say, for example, you take the trial and you start your file for 2013. Well, you put in any positions you have. Once you purchase the software, you can use that same file. You don't have to start all over again. So if you start your file and maybe you just want to import a month or two or maybe see how things look, then you can just, once you purchase, you'll enter your reg code into the software. You actually do that by going to the Help menu and click Register. Which I can't do from here. I got to actually close my file. Once I close, I can go Help, Register, and I can register my copy with the code that I get when I purchase. And then you can go ahead and and continue using from there. And of course, again, too, if you have questions, even with the trial version, feel free to contact us with questions. Maybe you created a file and you're getting an error, you don't understand something. The best way to contact us for support is to open that file in TradeLog, go to the Help menu, and choose the option Send Files to Support. What's great is that you can type your message right here, what you want to tell us, what problem you're having, what question. What's great is it includes your data file. And when you include your data file, that allows our support team to actually see what you're seeing. So if you're getting an error message, or if you're wondering about a certain report or why something's being reported, we can actually see your data. Because keep in mind, this is all stored on your computer, so we have no way to see your file or to see what things look like because everything's on your computer. Now some might say, well, is that safe to send my data file? Any personal information you put, such as username or passwords for your account, all of that information is encrypted. And so we can't, it's not going to be intercepted by someone. Even if someone intercepted your file somehow, they wouldn't be able to get that unless they went through a whole decryption process to get that. Also, your social security number, if you enter your social security number to print on reports, that's actually stored on your computer. We never send that through email or anything like that. So it's very safe to do that. You do send us your trade history. We have it on a secure password protected server. We open that file. Only authorized employees are able to open that. We can look at it, solve your problem. From there, we get rid of your file because we have no use for it. So we delete any of those files once we're done with them. Okay, I'm just checking here to see if we have any other questions. Got a few that I can just answer directly. They're very specific. And again, we have just a couple more minutes, so anyone else who has any questions about TradeLog, if you want to submit those, and we'll be happy to answer those. And look and see if we have any more questions here that I can answer for everyone, or any features I can show. Highlight again too, going back to our website, under our support tab, we do have the online support request. So if you have any questions, maybe you haven't downloaded the software, you can submit a question through here. If you have a question for our sales department, a question about purchasing, a question about pricing, we do have a phone number in the top right for our sales department, so you can call and ask any questions you have about pricing and such. Keep in mind, for technical support, we do ask that everyone submit tech support requests first, either online or through the software. That way we have the information we need and we can respond accordingly. Otherwise, if you just call and you want support, we usually don't have the information we need. So we ask you to submit that first. But if you have a question about purchasing the software, or if you have a billing question, you can call us, and we do have sales staff that can answer your questions. So it looks like we've answered all of our questions today, so we'll end a few minutes early. Thank you again for joining us today. Please keep looking at your email. We'll send more information about using TradeLog, as well as future webinars and events where you can learn to use the software to help you be more effective in your trading. Thank you very much again for joining us, and this will conclude our presentation today.